It's January. We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. Question for you. Just how far off do you think the Broncos are from teams that will be playing this weekend?
Ooh, man. You know what? People could say, "Oh, we're close to it. We're in the playoffs. We won 10 games." But this is where the stat does come to play, where it's like, "Hey guys, take a step back. We only beat one team with a winning record. We went 1-8. All right. Now, a couple of the teams that are in the playoffs, we played already. The Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills. And it did not look pretty. It was not a pretty sight when the Denver Broncos went up against real talent. Now, I'm not saying it, and I think that we are closer than what people are expecting us to be, but we are not there yet. We're kind of still right there in the middle, Zach. I'm going to have to say right there in the middle of the pack. But all it takes, and this is the beauty of football that's different from basketball, is you add a couple players from the draft that end up hitting. You add one of those veterans that you have to pay a little bit more money for, and they're healthy, and they buy in, and they end up hitting, kind of like a Brandon Jones, who you acquire in the free agent market, and he did a great job this year for us. Then all of a sudden you look up, and you are competing at a high level, and you are winning those games, and you are beating teams with a winning record, and you are in the playoffs making noise. So for me, I think that we're not as close as we think, but we're not as far away as we think as well. We're right there dead in the middle. We need a couple pieces this offseason, and that's George and Sean's issue, and it needs to be resolved this year for us.
Yeah, and I think that's fair to admit. And what you wouldn't want to do to yourself is talk yourself into thinking that you're 1 or 2 plays away from beating Buffalo or beating Baltimore. You played both of the teams that will play on Sunday night, and the Broncos lost by a combined 72-17 against the Ravens and the Bills. But you also damn near beat the world champions in their own building, giving them their first loss.
Yeah.
So, look, I think that if you played last Sunday's game 10 times, I think Buffalo wins 9 of them. 1 year from now, maybe it's 6. Maybe it's 6-4, something like that. And this is super hypothetical and abstract, so just kind of go with me here. And you wouldn't want to trick yourself into thinking you're 1 or 2 plays away from playing Baltimore in Baltimore this Sunday night, because the Broncos do need to keep their foot on the gas when it comes to addressing team needs and being aggressive, whether that's in free agency or in the draft. And when I say aggressive, I'm not talking like moving it up to the top 5 pick, but just you're now, the foundation is laid.
The foundation is laid.
That was not the case this time last year. You can't build upward until a foundation is laid. And I think the Broncos have a beautiful, beautiful foundation laid. Those operations in Baltimore and Buffalo and Kansas City, a little bit less Houston, but definitely those other 3 AFC teams, they started running their race 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, they're way ahead of us.
So you're not going to keep up with them in a race that you just started, and you don't have the bandwidth or the respiratory system to hang over the course of a marathon with those teams.
Well, let's be real. It starts with a run game. It starts with having a running back. You have Derrick Henry over there with Baltimore. You have James Cook over there with the Buffalo Bills. You have Saquon Barkley with the Philadelphia Eagles. Kyron Williams, an emerging star. I think he was 4th in the league or 5th in the league this year in rushing yet again with the Rams.
Wow.
You have to have a running attack if you're going to make it further in the playoffs. If you're going to be able to beat the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens, you have to be able to control the clock, be aggressive and physical, and it just brings that element to the game where they have to bring people in the box to account for the run. And now you have those opportunities on the outsides with your receivers having one-on-one opportunities. And Bo Nix can have a couple plays with the play action, and it's just going to mirror up well when you have a run game. And so that's where we need to start. If we're talking about how close you want to be.
So you think that's the single furthest distance?
That's the biggest distance.
You want to know what, man?
Biggest distance.
You want to know what?
And I know you hate the running backs, and I know a lot of people out there hate
the running backs. I hate.
You hate paying us. You just want all the labor done by us.
Phillip, I hate big money, long-term deals. But the league has essentially done away with those.
Yeah.
Do you think that is the single biggest gap between the Denver Broncos sitting at home and the teams playing this weekend is the run game?
100%. James Cook goes for 100 yards.
I think I agree with you.
Saquon Barkley went for 100 yards. Derrick Henry almost went for 200 yards. Like, that's a deciding factor between you winning that game by 1 point and you losing the game by 1 point is being able to control the line of scrimmage. And the Denver Broncos didn't have it the whole entire year. If Bo Nix has to throw 40 times next year, it's not going to work, Zach. It is not going to work because you have to rely on a run game at some point.
Phil, I agree. At
least we agree on that.
The lack of run game is the biggest single difference between the Broncos and these teams right here. And look, I don't think you need a top tier running back to win a Super Bowl. All right, I don't believe that. All right,
don't tell Derrick Henry that. Don't tell Saquon.
Hey, if Derrick Henry is the running back for a Super Bowl team, it'll be the first time in a very, very, very long time that a superstar running back was on a Super Bowl team. Who do you think was the last superstar running back on a Super Bowl team?
I mean, you have to. It's Kansas City. So, I mean, I'm just saying Kansas City has been there so long.
Yeah.
Christian wasn't there with the 49ers when 49ers went.
I have the answer.
All right.
Marshawn Lynch.
Beast mode.
2013.
And guess what? You know why the Seahawks didn't win that game against the
Patriots? Because they didn't give them the damn ball.
Because they didn't run the ball.
Literally. Yeah, crazy. One of the most self-inflicted Super Bowl losses of all time.
Wild.
Truly. But I agree with you, and I have hemmed and hawed about this really throughout the week as we're starting to turn our attention to the offseason and addressing and even starting to peek at the NFL draft. It's way off in the distance, but it's not that far off. It's now the back half of January. After January comes February, Phil.
Thank you for letting me know that.
And then it's I don't know what to teach at South. and then it's March and it's April. And then they're bang. And then April's the draft.
Yeah.
I've been hemming and hawing because for years I've said I don't want to take a running back in the first round. But I do not want to be viewing the game of football through my takes and my opinions. The game is speaking to me. There has been a real course correction on the emphasis of running backs, and we're seeing it in real time. We saw it last year with the tight ends, and you bang that drum over and over and over again about
you still need one. I mean, look at the teams that have them.
Of course. But you are not in this position to play this weekend if you don't have a top tier running back, and if someone like Ashton Genty is there, go get him.
And he's young.
Go get him.
He's young. He's fresh. You'll have him under contract for 5 years. Right. He'll be a first-round draft pick.
Yes. And that's been my thing. Can I just say this?
Yeah.
A part of my thing about drafting the running back in the first round, if he has great success over the course of his rookie contract, you're going to want to pay him. And for a long time, how that worked, and I wrote this down the other day, for a long time how that worked, it was a big money long-term deal. Christian McCaffrey got a $64 million extension in 2020 and then proceeded to miss the 23 games.
Yeah, and they might end up trading Christian this year.
They could. We should talk about that.
All right.
Zeke Elliott does great job on the rookie contract, and he signs a 6-year, $90 million deal in 2019. Those deals are the ones I don't like. Just to be clear, those deals, not the deals that these running backs right now are on. And because I watched it, who was that running back in Atlanta? It was the same thing.
Robinson? You're talking about Devontae Freeman.
Yes. It was 6 years.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm watching these all fail, and I'm I just don't.
But you know what, Zach? The reason why they're getting these long contracts at that moment was it's hey, you did a lot of work. Here's your money. You earned your money. And,
no, but the contract's about what you're going to do in the future, not what you did.
But that's how do you get your contract? You have to put up numbers.
Right.
I think that's kind of what hurt me. My first 2 years, I went crazy. My last year with Denver, it was a bad year. And so for them, it's you started off hot, but you're a running back, and you're small, and you didn't do as well the second year, and you didn't do well as the third year. So now it's a decline, and we're not willing to pay you because we don't think that you're going to get back to the top. And when you're a rookie running back and you go for 1,500 yards, that's the expectation now. And if you don't get 1,500 yards and you get 12, they're saying, well, you kind of fell off a little bit. And if you don't get 12 that next year and you get 10, like 1,000 on the dot,
yeah.
well, you fell off. You used to have 15, then you had 12, now you have 1,000. They use it against you, and it hurts a running back. And I'm glad that things are kind of like history's repeating itself, and it's coming back because you do need the running backs. And I understand you don't want to pay a running back long term, but that's any position, because if you go out there and you blow your knee out as a receiver, it's the same thing.
It is the same
Tight
thing.
end, it's the same thing.
It is, but there's no, like, bro, like, your career lasted twice as long as the average running back. It's the shortest career of any position. You guys take an absolute beating. You really do. There's 3 options for you guys when you get the ball. Be on your back, be in the end zone, or be out of bounds. And more oftentimes, it's ending up on your back. And not all positions are like that. Running back is uniquely like that.
And that's why you should be paid more. You should be compensated more for doing all that work.
I understand why.
Look how crazy I am in here. Look, I'm twitching. So, I need to be compensated for that.
Let me just say, so like for me, like, I haven't wanted to do the big money long-term deals. The league has sort of course corrected on that, but they're finding a middle ground. Yeah. They're finding a middle ground between not paying them and paying them big money long-term deals, and this is what we're seeing. But for me, as for what's best for the Broncos, I can't be worrying about 6 years from now. This is NFL football. So it's like, if you draft Ashton Genty in the first round, you're going to have him for 4 years on a rookie contract and a 5th-year option. If he plays great, you can pick it up. Like, I can't worry about what's going to happen in year 6 or year 7. Like, Bo Nix and this Broncos offense needs a running back bad. I asked you what the biggest gap was between the Broncos and these teams playing this weekend. You said running back, and you're right. You're right. So, like, what's the best way to address the position? Go pay a free agent, or take one, even if it's in the first round? I think I'm open to it in a way that I have not been in many years.
And I think maybe Sean's going to do a little bit of both. He's going to go and maybe draft a running back, let's just say in the first round, which would be great. It would be exciting to see a running back be drafted in the first round for the Denver Broncos. The last running back that was drafted in the first round for the Denver Broncos.
Don't tell me. Hold on. I'm going to go with my dude, No Sean Moreno.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
Shout out No Sean.
Shout out No Sean. Good dude, man.
Great dude.
And so it'll be good to see another running back in there. And like you said, you get him for 4 years, actually 5 if he does well, which sucks for him, because it's like, dang, I got to be under a rookie deal pretty much again for that 5th year.
Yeah.
But we need a run game. We need a run game badly. And I can see Sean going and getting that first-round running back and maybe getting a free agent running back that's cheap, an older one that can do some of the blocking.
Like a Samaje Perine type?
Yeah, exactly. Like a Samaje Perine. And maybe, just maybe, you draft another one later in the rounds. When I got to the Denver Broncos, they drafted Royce Freeman. John Elway drafted Royce Freeman and David Williams.
Yeah.
And then I came as a undrafted free agent.
Man,
I know.
We're going to have to, like, and I know we've talked about it here and there, but I don't even want to do it right now, but it's right there. I think Elway's.
Don't get me started, please. Please. I mean, my man Elway came to the pro day, watched me
and
5 or 6 times because I was up the street.
And they told you if you were there late, they would take you.
Yeah, and they were like, hey, man, we're looking to take you if you're there 6th, 7th.
And the fact that you were there late and they not only didn't take you, they drafted another running back.
Oh, there were so many MFs going on in the living room.
But this goes back to what we were talking about. Like, when someone is in your vision, they have to really screw it up to fall out of the vision. And if someone's not in your vision, they have to bend time and space to shoehorn themselves into the vision. And John just, I don't know, man. I don't know. All right. You want to say anything else on that? We can move on.
Oh, no, we move on. It's better left unsaid sometimes. We'll talk about it more as we go.
Okay. All right. This is what Sean Payton said when asked, is there a big gap between Denver and the top 4 AFC teams left in the playoffs?
I didn't see a gap last weekend until the second half, and then you see a gap because you're losing. But I felt real confident we could go in there and play well and win. We obviously didn't play well enough, but those lines are much finer than we think. You know, I use that term, there's a fine line between a groove and a rut. And it's a player, it's two players, it's the line of scrimmage, it's the kicking game. So we're not looking backwards, we're looking ahead. And it starts with the division, you know, and there's a lot of confidence in this team. If we could get past that game, the next game we had to play, we felt real good about. And so obviously we're still not there yet, and yet we're a lot closer than we were at this time a year ago. That was misery, sorrow, drudgery. Give me some other adjectives there. Just, God, that was brutal. Let's say that.
All right.
Dang, Sean.
There it is. Just a reminder,
Sean was ready.
Sean, just a reminder, you were getting paid $20 million last year.
Yeah, like, oh, that was brutal.
Now I understand what he. Well, let's circle back to that last part because that was definitely a shot. That was definitely a shot. And Sean gave a couple shots this week.
Not shot outs, but shots.
Yeah, shots. Sean had a couple shots this week. And one of them I really didn't like, and we'll talk about it on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay.
But Sean just painted a picture that the Broncos are very close to a team like not only Buffalo, where he said, I didn't see a gap until the second half, which I actually don't like that either, because Buffalo was playing so conservative and just feeling out the first couple rounds of the fight. You saw what it looked like when they got aggressive.
Yeah.
They were ultra conservative. Josh didn't even pass the ball in the first half. So I
just don't like him saying it in general, like, Coach, it's 60 minutes of football. There's no moral victories. So for you to say, hey, there wasn't a big separation in the first half, okay, but that's why we play 60 minutes of football, not 30. Like, you know that out of everybody. You could go out there with a game plan that works for the first 2 minutes, which that was the case. You go out there the first drive and you score a touchdown. And you remember what we talked about when the Buffalo Bills linebacker, and I forgot his name, but he's in the locker room after the game. He said, hey, look, we play 60 minutes of football.
Yeah.
We gave up a touchdown 2 minutes into the game. We sat there on the bench and we looked at each other and said, hey, we still got 58 minutes more of football. We are not going anywhere. It is okay. We are fine. We have Josh Allen. That right there, when he says we have Josh Allen, that tells you everything you need to know. And so it's like, come on, Sean. Like, I know that you're pumping your team up and you guys were in the playoffs, but it wasn't as close as you're making it out to be.
No, yeah, I agree. And then, and again, just to remind you, played the Ravens and the Bills, two of the teams playing this weekend, and you lost 72-17. Okay, you're not that close. But Sean wanted to make a point and said, we felt like if we got through that game, we felt real good about that next week, going into Kansas City.
Please explain this.
I think he's basing it off of what happened in their first matchup in Kansas City. But that it's just, again, a little.
How are you going to get prepared for the Kansas City Chiefs game when you have the Buffalo Bills sitting right in front of you? How are you going to say, hey, well, if we would have beat the Buffalo Bills, who you're not better than, then we would have been ready for the Kansas City Chiefs? Like, what is that? So you didn't mean to tell me that you didn't put all your effort into beating the Buffalo Bills and you were getting ready for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Nah.
What is it telling you?
Well, I just think Sean is just a little bit too overconfident, bordering on arrogant. I think he's
after beating the Kansas City Chiefs with the third and fourth string players, and almost beating them in Arrowhead.
Yeah, like I said, I think he feels good about how close these matchups have been in recent years. But you didn't beat the Bills. You lost 31-7.
Yeah.
So the gap needs to be acknowledged, and basically that's why I'm kind of rolling my eyes. I wish that the gap was acknowledged a little bit more, because you can't fix a problem until you admit you have one. So if you think hey, it was actually closer against Buffalo, we are going to go beat Kansas City, it's like, whoa. Let's just slow down here a little bit.
If they have a run game, he could say that. Because I truly believe that if the Denver Broncos had a run game, Zach, like, things would be closer. Because you're taking up time, you're changing how things are going because you're controlling the clock. So if he can add a run game and stick with the run game, he will be in the talks next year of like, battling with
sure,
the Baltimore
sure.
Ravens and Buffalo Bills.
Sure, maybe so. But you got to get it. You got to get there. What did you make of the we got a couple more minutes left here. What did you make of the shot against Russ there at the end? I mean, that was
Yeah, it was a shot for Russ, and I mean, to me, it's just like uncalled for. We all know. That's why you got rid of Russ. That's why we have an $85 million cap hit. We knew that it was going to be rough, but we all also knew that Sean and Russell Wilson was not a great marriage together. They weren't a good couple. And they moved on. Russ went with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sean got his quarterback of the future, the franchise quarterback, Bo Nix. Let's Bo. I don't know why you have to take any more shots. It's over.
I think Sean felt comfortable enough to take that shot because of how the Steelers' season ended as well. Because if Russ balls out and Pittsburgh, let's just get crazy, upsets Ravens, you can't. You don't have the license to say what you said because they're going to a place where you're not.
For sure.
But because they didn't score they're down 21 in the first half, and Pittsburgh will likely move on from Russ. I think that Sean is able to, in some ways,
like I told you guys so.
Yes, settle a personal score that he's got going on in his own competitive, personal head.
Yeah. Well, I guess if it makes him happy, I don't think Russ is going to lose sleep over it. He's trying to stay with the Steelers. I don't know if that's going to happen.
But guess what? I think Russ would have had something for Sean had Russ won.
You think so?
Yes. Something not that aggressive, but like something like masked as super positive, like been doubted, been moved on from, and just stayed the course, and luckily landed with a great Hall of Fame coach like Mike Tomlin, and he
already took that shot.
He did.
He already took that shot.
He did. And that leads me to believe he would have had something else. Because after they, I forget who they beat last year. It was early on in the season. No, excuse me. It was the 2022 season. And the Broncos picked up a win against the San Francisco 49ers, 10-9, I think. And Russ,
Monday night. It was Monday night game. Jimmy Garoppolo, I want to say.
Okay. So,
yeah.
But Russ had a play where he had to roll out left and complete a pass. And he had lost to the Seahawks in week 1, and Pete Carroll said, we knew we had to force him left. And Russ, after the win, was like, I guess I can still go left. That's what he said. He goes, I guess I can still go left. So I think Russ would have had a little something for Sean, not as direct as Sean.
So Sean's just taking shots. He took a shot the other day at Lauren Landau when it came to the injuries.
Yes, I want to circle back to that next week, by the way.
Sean took a shot at Russ.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey,
This is Sean. Don't forget the USA Today interview when he took shots at everyone in the Broncos organization, including George Payton and President Damani Leach, saying the parents were allowing it. And he mentioned the president by name. He didn't say Damani Leach. He said, the general manager and the president, this guy's in the training room, and he's, Sean is a wild dude.